Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. I got approached recently from a group representing Dr. Carol M. Swain, and she's a professor at Vanderbilt University, and asked if I'd be interested in interviewing her. She had some, certainly from a cultural perspective, as an African-American female, she has some spins on what's happening out there that are very contrary from the vast mainstream media, and certainly from the perspective of her culture, the vast number of people at least represented in our culture. I personally think that there, too, is among the black population, the vast majority are part of a silent majority that, and I say silent, they're silented by the media. They're not silent in their own behaviors. They're not voluntarily silent. They're just pigeonholed by the media as being continuous victims. And this is a person who could have been the poster child of such victimhood, Dr. Carol Swain. And instead, she chose a very different course for her life. And so when I got approached, I get hundreds of requests for interviews and way more than I can ever even respond to. I looked at her page, was immediately engaged because her messaging was so unique, listened to a video, and I was sold on that video. And now we expect her here in the next couple of days to be on this program. And so I'm looking forward to it. But I wanted to share the audio from that video and to give you a sense of what we're looking forward to. It's a phenomenal story. Dr. Carol Swain, and again, from Vanderbilt University.
We were the poorest of the poor, and that was a part of the identity. I'm a university professor now, but I never can remember a time growing up that I ever said, I want to be a university professor. I was born and raised in the rural South, and I was one of 12 children. I was second from the oldest. We lived in extreme poverty. The early part of my life, we lived in a 2-room shack, and it was literally a shack. It's so tiny. And my elder sister and I and some of the younger, the children that were the first kids, we slept on the kitchen floor. The house did not have any running water or indoor plumbing, and not having a bathroom in the house. And so really having what the older people call a slop jar in the house and having to empty that, those are things that made it very difficult. You had to put a pot on the stove and heat up the water to bathe in, and all of us bathed from that same cruddy pail of water. And you can imagine by the time it got to the third or fourth kid, it's pretty dirty. And it was not uncommon for us to go into the local dumps looking for whatever we could find. Growing up in that shack, all I can remember is just sadness. It was very depressed. I always felt unloved. There was always conflict in the house. There was never enough of anything. There were fights every Friday when my stepfather got paid. There would be a fight between my mother and the stepfather, but these would be really violent fights. The most graphic memory is my stepfather chasing my mother with an axe, threatening to kill her, and the children, we were running around, grabbing at his legs, trying to protect our mother. Later, my mother moved to the city when I was probably 12 or 13 and became involved with social workers and welfare programs. And what I watched happen in my family was that it became a way of life for her and for some of my siblings. And I saw what a trap welfare is, and for many people, and still for some of my siblings, they've never held a steady job. At that time, I was a high school dropout. I had dropped out after completing the 8th grade. I felt shame, I felt fear, I was depressed. And so I married at 16, not because I was in love. I married a neighbor that was a little bit older, just to get away from home. Part of the misery that I experienced in my childhood, some of it just continued into my marriage and into my early life. At some point, I started taking bottles of pills and I really wanted to die. I had the experience of being in the hospital after one of my suicide gestures, having a medical doctor tell me that I was intelligent, that I was attractive, and that kind of shocked me because I was, at least 20, 21, and I'd never heard anyone tell me that I was attractive. He said, you're intelligent, you're attractive, you can do more with your life. I took a job outside the home, I filed for divorce, everything started to change, and at one of the nursing homes where I was working as a nurse's aide, I met an African orderly from Sierra Leone. He said, you ought to go to college. And those words changed my life. I studied hard. I earned my GED. I worked hard doing whatever I could do to get by, and I was able to graduate from a community college, go on to a 4-year college, and graduate magna cum laude, and I went on to earn several graduate degrees. Somehow, I always believed that I could do it, that I could better myself, that I was not meant to be poor. I was able to far exceed anything that I imagined for myself or anyone else probably that was watching my life unfold. These milestones, my accomplishments, didn't come easy. It was through hard work, it was perseverance, a can-do spirit that I attribute to the grace of God. It is so amazing what a little encouragement and direction can do. But the system itself doesn't encourage people to better themselves. The social welfare programs that we have in America puts a Band-Aid on the problem, but it does not fix it. The only thing these programs do is create, in the long term, a sense of entitlement that results in a loss of self-worth for the individual. The truth is, people feel good about themselves when they can work and provide for themselves and for their families.
All right, when we come back, much more for you, but you can see what I'm excited about. I hope you're excited too. Share it with your friends. Tell them to keep track of us over there at priceofbusiness.com so you can find out great segments like this. More for you after this.